Hello folks, welcome to another Beyond the Boundaries episode. Now for a while I've been wanting to make a video about postboxes. You'll be familiar of course with postboxes by now because we see them in virtually every single episode that I make. Now I was going to save this video until I got to Bridlington on the East Yorkshire coast originally, but then I realised I didn't actually need to. All I had to do really was come to Sheffield. This is Leppings Lane, close to the Hillsborough Stadium where Sheffield Wednesday play their home games. And across the road there you can see a Spa and a Costa and a few other bits and bobs in a services. Over there's a postbox that we've never ever seen before. Let's go and check it out. Welcome to the northwestern Sheffield suburb of Owlerton. We're on the A61 outside Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. This is their stadium, Hillsborough, which stands on land that used to belong to James Willis Dixon and the Hillsborough House estate. Wednesday have played here since 1899 after being forced to move from Olive Grove due to railway expansions in the late 19th century. The stadium has a long history and I'm sure you've all heard of the Hillsborough disaster. That though is not why we're here today. Instead I've come to Hillsborough to talk primarily about this petrol station at the end of Leppings Lane, the road that runs behind the stadium. This petrol station has been here for as long as I can remember, but this area has changed quite a bit since the 1930s. Why is that relevant, you ask? Well, back in 1936, England had a new king, Edward VIII, who succeeded his father, George V. When a new monarch comes to the throne, brand new Royal Mail postboxes and pillar boxes bear the new monarch's cipher. This pillar box outside the petrol station bears the cipher of Edward VIII, and it's the rarest kind of postbox in the country. Edward VIII's reign lasted just 326 days. He abdicated the throne because of his proposal of marriage to American socialite Wallis Simpson. That meant very few of these boxes were actually made. In total there were just 271, and only 171 of those are still in use today. To put that into context, in total there are 115,000 in use across the UK. These account for about 0.1% of that figure. So of course Edward VIII postboxes are really rare because he didn't spend all that long on the throne, so there aren't many of them. There's one in Bridlington, as I mentioned earlier, and that was the one I was going to aim for, but then I find out that one exists, and that's why I've come here today. Now around this area there are plenty of other postboxes as well, and there are some other notable ones we've seen before, such as George V ones, and I know exactly where to find one of those. Let's go and find that. If you travel about a quarter of a mile up Middlewood Road, you'll find another pillar box, and this one is from the time of George V. These are a lot more common. In stark contrast to his son, George V spent 26 years on the throne between 1910 and 1936. There are two types of Georgian postboxes in fact. As well as George V, there are also ones which bear the cipher of George VI too. He took over from Edward after his abdication and reigned until 1952, spending 16 years as king. His boxes are therefore a little bit rarer. By far the most common type would be ones like this. On Middlewood Drive, this pillar box has the cipher of Elizabeth II. This is hardly surprising given that our late Queen reigned for some 70 years. As well as these, there are only two other types. Over 33,000 feature the cipher of Queen Victoria, and another rare set feature the cipher of Edward VII, who reigned from 1901 until 1910. And here's a fun fact to finish. The first ever boxes were actually green, but this changed to red because people couldn't see them. So we see these all the time, don't we? They're all over the place. They're on all our streets, all our street corners. We walk past them all the time and don't really take any notice of them, really. But we should, because they tell you which period in history that they're from. This one, obviously, is a recent one because it says E2R, and that is, of course, Queen Elizabeth. There's plenty of those around. Soon, there will be some new ones. You'll see ones that say C3R, which, of course, is Charles III. None of those have actually been put up yet, but they will be very, very soon. So yeah, that's the video about the Postbox. I'm sure you've enjoyed it, and I'm sure you're all going to go out now into your local areas and try and find your local pillar box and see which period in history it comes from. They're fascinating things, and like I said, they do get overlooked. Shame, really. There's some links below about the history of the humble postbox. Go check them out. It's truly a fascinating read.